the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Beres here on a Thursday. All right, we have a good show on tap for you because if nothing else, if you don't live in the city of Nashville, you just ought to call in and ask, what the heck does a vice mayor do anywhere? And they do a lot. Among other things, running the show when the council has their meetings and can be deciding votes on stuff, and they get a nice seat in the council chambers. But there's much more to that. And we do have a new vice mayor in the great city of Nashville, and so we thought we'd bring him on this morning to talk about what's important to him and what he thinks is important to the city, and maybe take a few of your phone calls. The number on the screen there is 615-737-7587. And with us this morning, someone who loves this city. He's been around for a long time, and I've known him for a long time. And in general, he's just a nice guy. I'm just saying that. I don't say that about everyone that comes on the show. That would be Vice Mayor Jim Shulman. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. It's not the first time you ran.
Thanks for saying that I'm a nice guy.
He is.
We'll see how the show goes.
Yeah, that could change. I mean, if he puts up with me. But yeah, you are. You're just a nice guy. I mean, this was not the first time you ran for something, obviously.
No, I was a district council member for 8 years, and then also, and then took 8 years off, and then ran as an at-large and was elected. So I was an at-large when the vice mayor slot opened up, and I decided to run for that.
Right, and certainly that was nothing anyone saw coming, correct?
No, I think everybody was fine where they were, and then these things happened, and fortunately, you know, the charter had it so that we did have a procedure.
Right.
I think we had certainly a lot of elections, and I think people got tired of those, but
right.
We've got one more coming up this year, hopefully. Nothing else surprising. We got one more in November, and then we're through for the year.
Well, you never know. You're just this close to becoming mayor.
Well, I am this close, but Mr. Briley and I have a very good relationship, and I want him to stay right where he is.
We wish him well. We wish him well. But yeah, so yeah, you are the vice mayor. If you would, just for folks.
Yeah.
The role of vice mayor, okay? You were an at-large council person, which is a very powerful position as well. But what, in your mind, the vice mayor, why is it important, and what do you think are the primary tasks for what you're going to be doing?
Well, I mean, I think you said most of it in the 5 seconds as you were getting in it. But you run the meetings, you pick the committees, and you pick the committee chairs. But I think in many ways you can do so much more with it. You can help kind of direct the policy. So we've already started doing some of that by picking up some small committees and actually focusing on some issues that I really think that we need to address. You are one step away from becoming mayor. I mean, people used to kind of joke and said, you know, what is the vice mayor, and why didn't the council pick the vice mayor, and why are we electing the vice mayor, and do we really even have a vice mayor? It's always been relevant, but most people haven't talked much about it. It became extremely relevant, obviously, in the last year when all of a sudden the mayor had to step down, and you have a vice mayor who then moves over.
Right.
And what I said at the time, and I very much believe, is that fortunately we had somebody in that vice mayor's role, David Briley, who could step in and who could immediately start taking over and understand the, you know, what was going on in the city and what he needed to do. In this race, I think people understood that it was a little bit more important than most people gave it credit for.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, so much going on in this city, and we may take some phone calls, 737-7587. But you know, during the campaign, and we see things that are going on right now. As you come in as vice mayor, what right now do you think, as vice mayor, you want to focus on? What's the
So immediately the budget. Because last time, this past budget was very, very difficult. I think the council is still kind of reeling from the fact, and the city is too, from the fact that we have so much growth going on, so much development, so many people coming to visit, and yet our budget was extremely tight.
So can you just explain how, I'm sure it's basic and someone simple like me can't figure it out on my own. It's kind of like, though, with all this growth and stuff, everyone would say, well, shouldn't that mean a lot more money coming in on taxes, and the city should have more money to spend because we're boomtown?
Right. Well, and it does to some extent. So the first 2 years of this council term, the budget cycle, we had lots of revenues that got spent. But somewhere along the way, I think you had, sometimes I refer to it as a perfect storm. You had some things going on that either we didn't understand or should have understood. You had a number of things hit at the same time. We had a property reassessment, and there was about $25 or $26 million that got lost in terms of the assessment because of people appealing their property assessment and their value of the property. So we lost money there. There was money lost because of some a guess, it turns out to be an incorrect guess by the board of, by the school boards and the directors over there to figure out how many kids were coming into the schools last year. So we lost BEP funding coming that way. The state has been reducing taxes, so we lost money that way. And then we had some situations where some one-time funds were being used for recurring expenses, which is not a good way to deal with the budget.
But then that goes away, and you don't have it.
And so we got the budget. It's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, obviously during the first part of this year, there was so much focus on our past mayor, Megan Beres, and what was going on with her situation. And so all that was in the news, and then all of a sudden she resigns. Mayor Briley goes over, and within the first week he's got budget hearings going on. And so we're all going, okay, so we got this now settled, and all of a sudden we're hearing that there's a budget problem in a city that is growing this fast. We got a budget problem, and so we had to back up, and we had to. It was a horrible budget situation from the standpoint of just being putting in the process of, we were supposed to give people raises, and we wanted to fund education, and there's so many other things that we would like to do. All of a sudden we didn't have the money to do it. So we had to back up and take another look at it.
All right, makes sense. And then that's where the debate goes into how you're going to spend the money when you have that much. And again, the big picture here, we've got this soccer stadium. I guess another lawsuit filed, right, yesterday or something. I get that the idea, but the soccer stadium is moving forward. And then meanwhile, we're hearing, and we've done some stories through our I-team here along the lines of them not having enough money to pay for enough firefighters because they're working so much overtime, which is costing more. And same thing. Well, what do you think? I mean, we're building soccer stadiums, which, I have nothing against soccer. And then people are going to say, what, hey, we need more cops and firefighters.
Well, so I think what we do is sometimes you want to back up and go, okay, just stop. Everybody stop for just a second, and let's figure out what we've got. We don't have the ability to do that because everything just keeps going. But what you do is, and what we've done is, we picked a special 3-person committee, and they work in conjunction with our budget committee to go back and take a look while all this other stuff continues to go on. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? How do we make sure we don't do this again? One of the things that this new special committee has been assigned with is not only to go back a little bit, but look forward. One of the things that I will tell you that I've always thought was a little different with the council is that we typically, we're busy all throughout the year. We don't ever stop. And then sometime in April, we get the budget from the mayor. And that's when we start looking at it. I don't think we can wait anymore. So one of the things that this special committee has been assigned to do is, okay, get all the reports that are coming in, take a look at them, and then either every month or every other month, report to the council as a whole during the meeting. Are we on target with our revenues? Are expenditures higher than revenues? Where are we? So when we get to next spring, we're not going, what happened? We basically have a pretty good understanding of where we are.
What is the city's budget? I'm just curious.
It's over $2 billion.
$2 billion. Yeah, think about it. It's a ton of money, and you think, wow, you need even more. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. We got some calls for you. Who doesn't want to talk to the vice mayor? And even if you don't live in Nashville, you visit Nashville, or maybe you're just curious about the position. Jim Shulman taking it over here in the city of Nashville. We'll take a break. Be back with your calls. More of our conversation right after this.
Time to